all right. Party people in the place to be, vandals, and whatever else might be lurking out in the daylight. We are here on a bright, happy Sunday afternoon to talk about two very exceptional, very wonderful books. Joey, what are we up to on this wonderful, wonderful Sunday afternoon?
Well, we are going to start a new segment, which is called Hot Flash or Hot Flashes. We're still, that's pretty much what we're sticking with for now, but it'll be just a short, like maybe 20-minute, half-hour episode where we pick an issue or two from books that we read that we really love or advanced review copies we got from creators, and we'll give you just quick shot reviews here. And today we're going to talk about two Kickstarters. One that is Kickstarter that has completed all four issues of the book in Slightly Exaggerated, and we got a advanced review copy for the Berg, which will be an upcoming Kickstarter that should be launching the last day of the month, early April, into the month of April. Yeah,
Right, right. Yeah,
yeah,
some really good stuff.
yeah. Very good books. Yeah,
Yeah, this is going to be just kind of us, just talking about stuff that's very recent too. We're not going to really try to talk about older books like we
yeah,
usually do on our shows. This is going to be kind of like fresh stuff when we broach it on Hot Flashes, which
yeah,
hence the term hot. Like
yeah.
striking while the iron's hot. Yeah, slightly
Exactly.
exaggerated, like Joey said, just finished, but like it literally just finished. I barely got the PDFs for issues 3 and 4 uh last week, so. And oh man, I really really love that book. Want to just go ahead and get started with that one since
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
this is Slightly Exaggerated, written by Curtis Clow with art by Pius Bak. It is lettered by Tobin Rossicott, and it is logo designed by Lorenzo Blagario.
Lagario.
And
Yeah.
this book, oh man, it is just beautiful. I love the storytelling here, like the morality of the book, like the themes, the tones, and the artwork. I mean, just look at how gorgeous this book is.
Mhm.
Oh my, like as a huge fan of like European sci-fi and like European adjacent sci-fi fantasy stuff that Image puts out, stuff like Low, East to West, Saga, Shudder, like this book really hits on those type of levels and really tells you a story that is very emotional and very impactful, but at the same time it's really really fast and really fun. I love how loose the story is and then tight at the same time. Like Curtis is really popping off at the time. Right now, two of his other books have just been picked up. Beastlands is going to be is a hardcover that's been released by Dark Horse Comics, and Wild Cosmos has also been released by Scout. So he's popping off at the moment. So I'm really hoping that Slightly Exaggerated could find a nice home. I think it would be a really good book at like Ahoy or Vault or um, Scout. There's a lot of really good places I think this book would fit in very well at. So
Mhm.
Dark Horse as well. What
Mhm.
did you think about Slightly Exaggerated, Joey?
I had seen it briefly on Kickstarter when they were running the campaign, and I thought it looked pretty cool. But back then, I was kind of cutting back on my Kickstarters a little bit, so I hadn't backed it right away back then. When I first saw it, then I knew that you'd backed it, so yeah, so I was able to read it for the show, and man, it's fantastic. The art, like you said, the color palette, the colors, uh, all great. The story, the pacing, fantastic, fantastic stuff. It definitely gave me like I said, as you're reading it, it has that big adventure, like kind of like Indiana Jones, or you know, it starts off with that kind of vibe a little bit, but it has that like sci-fi fantasy aspect to it, where they're riding like where the fish are in the sky, like you have whales, you have sea rays that they ride as ships. So it's very interesting. It's a fun take. It's not like your traditional fantasy where like elves and orcs and stuff like that. It's got more of a weird sci-fi angle to it. Like you see, like you said, a very European flavor to it. Yeah.
Right. One thing that I really like too is like there were like the humans that dressed like cats, but you
Yeah.
also had like anthropomorphic animal people running around too. You actually had cat people involved in the book, which I
Hmm.
thought was really kind of a cool thing. And I like the weird little critters. Like our main character Mia, she's got this little dude named Winston that hangs out with her. He's kind of like
Winston.
this
Yeah.
little talking toad guy who almost like a Jiminy Cricket type character, but like I don't know, he's a little more helpful. He kind of helps her steal, but at the same time is kind of
Yeah.
trying to talk her out of doing bad stuff too, which is
Like, yeah, like the good angel on the shoulder type character. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, he's good. He's a fun character. All the characters are fantastic in this. Every character is fleshed out very well, and you get attached to them fairly quickly. Like, and that's great because it's a 4-issue series, but it reads really fast. So, like this, there's a lot of world here, and they only explored a very small facet of it, and briefly, like for brief periods of time. Like this book, if let's say Curtis wanted to revisit it, there's so many different avenues you could go down and explore. Like I could easily see him, if he wanted to, building a much bigger world from this world he created, many more stories, and yeah,
I agree. And just to touch on what you were saying, I like how he and him and Pius like they have this really good working relationship together to where they don't actually have to explain to you how things in this world work. They kind of just show you and you really catch on fast like how Mia's able to catch her ride on the flying stingray. She's got this cool
yeah,
lantern that she shoots up into to the air with a rope and like they fly by and grab it like kind of like a fishing pole and she
yeah,
hops up and then is able to get up on and like steer him and stuff. And oh, it's just so cool the way that they just show it instead of having to like over explain it and be all
yeah,
wordy. It's just really fast, really quick, and you just really understand how and what's happening in the book, which
yeah,
I think is really smart, really good storytelling.
yeah. The visual, like he allows back a lot of freedom to tell the story visually, which is fantastic. Like you said, not like without exposition, too much exposition, this and that. Like they tell a lot of the story through the images, which is great, and just enough narration to, get the point across. And I think that's why it's a fairly quick read. I was surprised. I was like 4 issues. I was like, oh, I thought, but yeah, it reads fairly quick because, like you said, a lot of the story is told visually and very well told, very well done as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed that.
And I just I love the way that he was able to grow the friendship really fast like he did between Lacey and Mia. I thought them being complete opposites and uh being enemies when they first meet, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's really
Yeah.
cool the way that they kind of come together and coalesce and decide to right the ship
Hmm.
basically, you know what I mean? I don't want to give too much away because I really want people
Yeah.
to read this, and I have a link in the description to where you can go and buy the PDFs for any of Curtis's books. He has physical copies too, but I think he just sells those at cons. Like they're not available on the website. But like you want to read this book however you can. In my opinion, it's just so stellar.
It's fantastic. It's really good, like you said. And I love, from setting to setting, the choice of the color palettes. It fits the mood. The covers are fantastic. The galleries at the end for the pinups
Oh
are
God,
great. They got
yes.
great guest artists to come and do pinups. Like just it's a visual treat. This book is fantastic visually. And when I saw the campaign, that's the first thing that stood out to me. I was like, this is an extremely polished book. Like, I mean, these are professionals. These aren't like first timers. This isn't their first rodeo. It's not their first comic. Like, very polished, doesn't miss a beat. Like, fantastic read. Great book.
I would like to maybe had like one more issue to flesh it
Yeah,
out, but I
yeah.
always say that about books. I always want more, but
When they're
I,
great, yeah, you always want more when they're great.
I would have liked to known the villain Gwen just a little bit better. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's like my one gripe. But I think that I think everything gets explained very well, and
Yeah.
the cast works very tight. There's no fat on the book.
Mm.
Um, even
But
kind of like the scenes that don't really tied to the main story are really charming. They really kind of explain to you the character Mia, like when she hooks up with the dude because it's raining, and
Yeah,
she's like,
yeah,
"Hey, is this a bread and breakfast kind of deal?"
yeah,
And then she
yeah.
just kind of like dumps him afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. There's some good humor in it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Some relatable humor. Yeah. But like you said about the villain though, I kind of I would have liked to seen that character fleshed out more, but the approach was kind of interesting because often a good villain will steal the story and steal the show. Whereas this one, it's your main characters, your protagonists that really shined. Like the focus was mainly on them, right? And it really developed their characters, their relationships. And the villain was just there as a means to an end for them to go on their adventure. So it was more about their journey, right? And less about the villain's background and their grand scheme and all this. So it was nice. It really added to the character development of the protagonists in this, I felt. Yeah.
I agree. I
Yeah.
mean, it's one of my favorite Kickstarters I've backed. Like I talked about it in our favorite Kickstarter episode a couple months ago,
Hmm.
and ever since I backed it, and I think I got the first two issues maybe a year and a half ago. I've just been enthralled, and I've been waiting for
Hmm.
more. I didn't know it was going to finish up with issue 4, but oh, it's a nice, really good, really solid, one sit read too. Like it's not gonna be
Yeah.
one where like, you're
Oh
gonna
yeah.
have to put down. Like you're gonna be like really into it the whole time, and you're gonna like
Mm.
want to reread it too right away
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's just so much fun, and it's just so very lovely.
Yeah. See, I got home early one afternoon from work and I just sat down and man, I just burned through it really quick. And even like I was like, oh, so then I went back and just kind of went through it really just now that I knew the story and just from panel to panel doing the beats and I revisited it a couple times and yeah, it was great. I can't praise it enough. Not disappointed at all. I can't find any flaws in this book really, except for like we said, because it's a short, it's 4 issues and how many pages? It's about 22 pages per issue. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of things like it would have been nice if they could have explored, but I understand like for the Kickstarter and stuff, they wanted to get the books out and get the story told, and it's I mean it's more it has a good ending. It wraps it up,
Oh,
but
it has
it's
a
definitely
wonderful
open.
ending. Like
Yeah, yeah, great ending, and it leaves it open so that there could be more. And it's a big world, so you could even tackle, like you said, there's those creatures that you could go into their stories, uh, the religion aspect of it. I mean, there's so many different avenues you could explore from this world that if like I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more of this book and its world and more stories told from within this world.
I would be really happy, yeah, to see more about Lacey and Winston, and yeah, maybe show more about like the cat war that they accidentally started um
Hmm.
by doing what they did, which I thought was pretty sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I love that scene where like they run find the cat warrior and his crashed airplane and like
Mm.
help him find his
Oh,
peace, and Mia
such a
kind of
beautiful.
finally starts to understand like the kind of purpose why some people are religious, like
Hmm.
how it's comforting to some people,
Yeah, yeah.
even
There's
though
that
it
faith.
might not touch you personally. I kind of really like those themes and stuff that ran through
Yeah,
the book.
yeah. Oh, and that splash page of when his plane crashes. Oh, such a beautiful page. I love that page. It's so nice. Yeah, where
I
it's her. Yeah, you probably don't have it clipped, but that's a great
Yeah.
page. You don't. It's better that people don't see it, because when they do read it, it's such a beautiful page. And there's quite a few little splash pages here and there, and the layouts are great. I love the layouts, how they break panels in certain shots to really accentuate the action. Uh, yeah, really, really good book. Really good book.
Right. And like I said, link in the description where you can go pick up the issues. I can't think of any reason why you shouldn't. I mean, like
Yeah.
it's not expensive. It's a very good book, and yeah, like as far as like sci-fi fantasy stuff goes, this has probably been my favorite book to come out since East to West ended. You know what I mean? Like
Mm. Yeah, I got those vibes. Like it definitely had a little bit like the art style at times gave me the vibes of the visuals from East of West, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
East
yeah.
of West with a lot more Mobius
Mobius. Yeah, that's
injected
kind of
into it.
the in the Kickstarter they kind of dropped Mobius's name kind of in the style of Mobius when they on the campaign and stuff. So yeah, visually if you're trying to get a grasp of what it is, yeah, that would be a cross between the two, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a little more I don't know, I would say a little more anime looking than Gene Gerard's art, but
Mhm.
not too much. I mean, it's still very European looking, which I absolutely adore. I'm not entirely sure where the creative team is from. They might be European, which would make sense, but um yeah, like if you like Euro sci-fi or if you like don't know Euro sci-fi but you like books from Image like or from lots of books but like I mostly know the Image ones like Low or Seven to Eternity, Saga, Shutter, East of West, like you will definitely love this book.
Or Magnetic Press. I could see this being on Magnetic Press so easily.
Yeah, Magnetic,
And yeah,
whi-
although they're not
which
doing as much anymore. But anyway, this is about the books. It's not a. It's a review episode that we do quick reviews.
yeah,
We don't diverge off topic.
yeah, straight up.
No tangents. No tangents.
So moving on to the main course, we have the Berg.
The
And
Berg.
this is written by Sarah Peploe and Fraiser Campbell. It is has art by Gavin Mitchell. It is lettered by Colin Bell, and it is color assist by J.P. Jordan. And it is to be released by Cabal Comics, but that is after the Kickstarter, I believe. Which, like
Mhm.
Joey said, end of the month, very end of the month, maybe the beginning of next month, the Berg will hit, and this is going to be one that you're going to want to back. This is a
Yeah,
48 issue powerhouse
48
of
pages.
a
Yeah.
creature, just a total creature feature, a
Yep.
badass, fun, almost grindhousey at times,
Yep.
monster story. I mean, it just
Hmm. Hmm.
does it all right though. In the press kit, they go ahead and allude to it being like movies like Tremors and the Thing, The
The
Blob, Lake
thing, the
Placid,
blob.
Alligator,
Yeah.
Slugs, and The Descent. And they also say it's like books like The Nameless, BPRD, Man Thing, and Creature Commandos. And
Mhm.
I'd say that's apt. It
Yeah,
also kind of
very
reminds,
accurate.
yeah, it also kind of reminds me of movies like The Void, which
Mhm.
I guess
Yeah.
falls in all that
Yeah.
stuff too. And
Yep. Yep.
also Slither,
Hmm.
because there's one part in this book is just so nasty, man.
Yeah.
Like I like some I'm into gross out humor, and like that panel
Hmm.
just was I was just like, oh.
Yeah. It's and the way they did it and the look on the guy's face was
Yeah, he
just
was just so happy about it.
perfect.
You're just like, oh.
So perfect. Yeah, you're like, oh, how could you enjoy that? Anyway, yeah, yeah, it's great. Yeah. Yeah, I reached out to, I found out about this through John Lee's because Fraiser Campbell and him are pretty good buddies. And he was sending a call out to people if they wanted review copies to talk about this book. And I was like, hell yeah. I mean, I know John. We love John Lee's here, and we love his work. So I was like, "Yeah, man, we'll take a look at it." And man, I was not disappointed, man.
Yeah, they
uh,
nailed it. Like
mhm,
you sent it to me, and I ended up reading it almost directly after I watched Deadly Friend for our show
mhm,
earlier this week, and it was the perfect pairing. Like I thought that like this would have fit in really good as like a really good 80s monster, just fun monster
yeah,
film because it's got good humor to it. It's got good scares, great art.
mhm.
I mean, like just
It's called the Berg, which is in reference to water. What do you call it? The wa- water's treatment, or anyway, they take care of the sewers. And what a fat berg is like congealed fat and like just things people flush kind of congealing and blocking the sewers and stuff. And this crew goes down to like clean out blockages. So they get a call because there's a blockage and they go down. So the berg is actually in reference to fat bergs, which are blockages in the sewers from like people who throw fat down their drains, like from cooking, other miscellaneous objects down into the sewage systems. Yeah, and so that's how the story begins. Is this crew has to go and look into this blockage down there, and they're in for quite the surprise. They're in for something way more than what they anticipated. And man, when I read this, I kept getting feelings like, because it happens in the sewers, right? You get that kind of isolated, kind of
Claustrophobic.
claustrophobic feel that you got from, like, let's say the first Aliens movie, right? It got that vibe, and then you have like we said, the Blob. It's kind of like this substance, but it affects people, like, kind of.
Yeah, the way it messes with them, it makes you
Yeah,
remember your worst memories basically, and
yeah.
plays with that before it like takes you over, which I thought was like a really kind of menacing effect that it had. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was pretty cool.
And the way they approached it, how, like, subtle at first, like where people are saying things that kind of don't really fit or make sense. So as you're reading it, you're like, what? But then
Yeah,
it makes sense later, right? So you're kind of confused as you're reading it along with, like, the characters that you're following. So I thought that was really well done. And even, like, because it's pinkish, like either it'll make you think of the Blob, or even I kind of got small vibes from Ghostbusters when the pink slime
oh, for
feeds off the
part two.
negativity. Yeah, and it makes people act like their lesser instincts, or their, the darker sides of them start coming out, and it made me think of that a little bit too. Yeah, man. So in the press kit, when the press release, like, all the influences, like, it was spot on. Like, he nailed all the movies, or most of the movies he referred to. I definitely got little vibes here and there of all those different movies. So it's a great, like I told Fraiser in the DMs after I read it, I was like, I read it, man. It was fantastic. Like, truly a fantastic love letter to, like, 70s, 80s horror. Like, I mean, they nailed it. It was great. If you're a fan of the, like, 80s horror or late 70s horror movies, you'll definitely love this book. It was fantastic. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, I really really I like the way that the story was kind of broken up too. You kind of had two different converging ones with the diner and what was going on in the sewer. There was quite a bit to this book,
Yeah.
and it all just fits really well. It tells like once again, there's really no fat to the book. Like there's nothing that doesn't fit everything. Like you said, there are parts where you're kind of like lost for a second, but then you realize that it's the monster messing with them.
Hmm.
So like
Yeah.
the it's a very just straightforward, just wonderful monster mash. I
Yeah.
mean, just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'll recommend this highly enough. I can't wait for the Kickstarter to run.
Yeah.
And we
Shout
got
out to Matt Spanky from the N Pod, who's in the house in the chats. How's it going, buddy? Yeah, tuning in from across the pond, which I think most of the creators from this book are from across the pond as well.
yeah, I think it's a UK book. I mean,
Mhm.
if you read the dialogue in it, it's kind of
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you got to be a fan of the BBC stuff. You know what I mean? You got to be
yeah,
watching them Nick Love movies and stuff to kind of get some of the stuff they're saying. But I enjoy that. I like when they write
yeah.
colloquially from the UK. It kind of
It adds a,
sets it on a different tone. You know what I mean? Kind of really
yeah,
makes you think that you're watching like a Neil Marshall horror movie or something like that.
definitely adds some flavor, right? It's fantastic. And like, when this Kickstarter comes out, it's great too, because it, like you said, 48 pages or 44 pages. So you get a good story. It isn't just like a 22-page thing. So it really gives you a good story with there's a lot there for you to read. Yeah.
And they leave room for more. I really appreciate that in a monster movie fashion. Like it just it hits what it was trying to do perfectly. Like
Mhm.
I've read lots of these, and you mentioned Mountain Head when we were off air, and like I would
Mhm.
say that like yeah, when it comes to comics, I would put this on the same level as that with it nailing what it was going for with the type
Mhm.
of isolated
Yeah, the
monster
tone, the
movie
feel. Yeah. Instead of taking place in the mountains, it takes place in, like, a
in the
small
sewer.
mountain town. Yeah, in the sewers. Yeah,
It's
down
so
and
nasty.
dirty. Yeah,
Yeah, some of the stuff they talk about so grody too, like when they're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about like what's under there, and ooh, you don't want to slip down here.
yeah. Oh no, you got some in your eye. They're like,
Oh
stat, get him
yeah,
out of here. Yeah, yeah. Get him to the surface right now.
yeah,
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
some
yeah,
pink eye right there, man.
yeah.
Ugh.
Ugh, yeah. And I love the colors in this. Like just from that clip, like you showed, fantastic. The colors, like the blues with the pinks, and yeah, the lights. You get the coloring's great. The art, I love how they do uh, the Bandai dots and all that stuff. The halftone, like halftone dots. I love that style, and great job on the
Yeah,
art,
so they kind of
Gavin.
nail the whole old school monster comic look too, with the yeah, like with the the dots and
Yeah.
classic comic style look.
Mhm, mhm.
Talk about making
Did you
pink
put
eye.
the link in the description for people
Yes, I
who want
did.
to? Yeah, so we have the link in the description if you want to go sign up for the notification when this drops, when the campaign starts. We got a link in the description. You can go hit that, sign up to get the notification once this campaign starts on Kickstarter. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
yeah, you might be familiar with the, like you said, Fraiser. It's not his first Kickstarter. He's done a few others, you said, right? And there's one that
yeah,
you
he's done
backed.
Alex Automatic, which is probably
Yeah.
his most popular one, but I know him most from Indexed, which he did with Lucy
Mhm.
Sullivan, which was like a really cool
Mhm.
cyberpunk sci-fi type thing.
Mhm. So he's got a pretty good track record. Like I mean, Fraser. I read the Indexed, and that's another great book. So yeah, man, he's got some chops, man. Like definitely go check out this book. I think this is a treat for any horror fan. Any horror fan.
Yeah, UK writers don't mess around, man. Like they
Mm,
seem to be pretty on point, especially the
mm.
horror guys nowadays. But
Yeah.
yeah, Frasier, I wouldn't be surprised if like yeah he started working for like 2080 magazine or someplace big in the near future because dude's got mad talent. So
Yeah.
does Sarah Peploe. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she
Uh,
co-wrote this. Not sure like how the writing duties were allocated, but uh the whole creative team just performed wonderfully on this book and
mhm.
really you know
I
made
think I think Sarah, if I read correctly, in the she writes like horror novels, right? That's her
yeah, she's actually
background.
a writer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She does horror novels, so they teamed up to write this one, and yeah, great great team up, great partnership, great collaborative effort, if I must say so myself. Mm, yeah,
So yeah, that was the Berg, and
the
yeah,
Berg.
you
Yeah.
gonna sign up for the if you haven't done a Kickstarter before, if you sign up for this, it'll basically send you an email when the campaign's ready, and then you can back it for whatever. I'm not sure what the prices are going to be, but for Indexed and the other Fraiser Campbell stuff I've got, like he's usually really well. His stuff's usually really well priced, but this is a 48-page one, so it might be a little bit more, but I'm not. I don't think it's going to be like one of those ridiculously priced Kickstarters. So
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah, man. Awesome, awesome book. Great first episode for Hot Flashes. I think this was great. Fantastic. We almost hit the 30-minute mark perfectly. Touched on two fantastic books that all of you should go check out. Everything's in the links if you want to go find this stuff. So go hit those links up in the description. And man, I loved it. This is great. Fantastic. Half-hour episodes. Man, I could do this every day.
all right. So we'll be back on Tuesday. We're gonna have Manu. We're gonna be talking about Tales from the Interface Book 4. That should be a lot of fun.
Yep.
And then
Tuesday.
Friday we will be I think Elle might be with us, and we're gonna be talking about Dark Horse
Dark
Comics,
Horse.
kind of a
Yeah.
history and some of our favorite stuff they've ever put out. Oh, thank you, Tara. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But until Tuesday, we'll see you guys later. Take it easy, y'all.
Have a good week.